The broadcast. No one forgets the day the stars bled human sorrow. Commander Sarah Voss stood alone in the bunker's command room, her gloved hands clenched into trembling fists as the holofeed flickered to life. Across every channel, civilian, military, pirate, black market, the Galactic Empire had seized the signal. The broadcast was mandatory, unstoppable, and deliberate. Every human alive, no matter how far they'd fled or how deep they'd hidden, would watch what came next. The camera feed stabilized on a wide steel platform floating in the vacuum of space, anchored just off the shattered remains of Jupiter Station. Arrayed in neat, endless rows were human prisoners of war, men, women, some barely out of training. Over 10 million by every count Earth's intelligence had scrambled to confirm. Each wore the same gray uniform. No armor, no weapons. Only silent defiance in their eyes. Sarah's heart pounded as she recognized faces among the crowd. Friends she'd thought lost, comrades captured in the siege of Titan, a few she had trained herself. One, a young tech sergeant named Mara Lynn, turned toward the camera. Despite the vacuum, the image zoomed in enough to read her lips. "Tell them," we sang. Then the execution began. Bright lines of energy lanced down from orbital weapons, one beam per row. 10,000 gone in a blink. Then 10,000 more. They died silently, bodies vaporized in sterile light. No screams, no struggle, only unity in death. The Empire didn't cut away. They wanted it seen, wanted humanity broken. Inside the Earth Alliance Strategic Command bunker, no one spoke. Dozens of generals, analysts, leaders, all frozen. Many wept. Some vomited. Even the hardened AI advisors flickered uncertainly, unable to process the cruelty as a tactical necessity. Saya didn't cry. Not yet. She just watched. Her jaw clenched as the Empire's voiceover began, smooth, regal, in 10 galactic dialects. Let this mark the end of human arrogance. Let this galaxy remember that defiance is not bravery, it is extinction. Thus falls the human blight. The screen went black. Silence. Then Chancellor Elian Reyes stood at the center of the war room. A man of frail build and uncertain authority just months ago, he now looked 10 years older. Grief forged something steel-hard in his spine. He turned toward the camera, broadcasting live to all of Earth, Luna, Mars, and every hidden outpost still listening. We have just witnessed the largest single mass execution in galactic history. 10 million of our soldiers. 10 million human souls. Live, for all to see. We did not start this war, but now, we will finish it. His voice trembled, then steadied. We, the people of Earth and its colonies, formally declare that what has transpired is an act of genocide. Under Galactic Accord 17.9, humanity is justified in its absolute retaliation. We are no longer divided states, no longer survivors. We are vengeance. The room erupted, not in applause, but in grim determination. Saya turned and strode toward the hangar. General Malik tried to stop her. "Commander Voss, you've only just..." "I watched 10 million die," she said coldly. "I'm done watching." He hesitated. "What are you going to do?" She paused at the bulkhead. Her face was emotionless, her voice hollow and precise. "I'm going to give the Empire something worth fearing." As the blast doors shut behind her, Earth's military channels lit up with mobilization codes. Resistance cells deep within Empire-held territories began transmitting coded messages. Refugee fleets in the Kuiper Belt turned their engines back on. And somewhere, in the heart of a dead asteroid, human engineers unveiled something they hadn't dared speak of in public: the Blacklight Project. Across the stars, the galaxy shivered, not from pity, but because it knew something horrifying had just been awakened. Humanity wasn't dead. It had just remembered who it was. The resistance awakens. You don't kill 10 million of us and expect silence. You get fire. 3 weeks after the broadcast, Sarah Voss stood at the helm of the Valkyrie, her new command ship, a reconstructed dreadnought stolen from the Empire's scrapyards and upgraded beyond recognition by Martian engineers. It had no official designation. Humans just called it what it was: retribution, armed and mobile. Around her, the fleet of the Forgotten assembled. Once disparate fragments of Earth-shattered navy, pirate salvage ships, repurposed mining haulers now bristling with weapon pods. 1,000 vessels, ugly but angry, silent but unified. In orbit above the scorched surface of Europa, a new war council formed. Admiral Reyes, younger brother of the Chancellor, addressed the fleet through a secure link. We have confirmation that over a dozen species have condemned the Empire's actions, but none have lifted a finger. Their silence is complicity. If justice is to be done, it will be by our hands alone. In the shadow of that broadcast, humanity had changed. Old alliances dissolved. Martian separatists returned to the fold. Lunar's isolationists pledged every ship they had. Even Earth's warring factions dropped their grudges. The genocide didn't divide them, it forged them. Sayre's war room was alive with planning. Around the table sat Dr. Imani Kaira, Earth's top weapons scientist, who had turned asteroid mining lasers into surgical planetary scalpers. Captain Jules Mercer, once a smuggler, now leader of a stealth fleet that slipped past Empire patrols. Kale Varian, a reptilian diplomat turned traitor to the Empire, offering coordinates of vulnerable supply hubs and a list of species secretly sympathetic to humans. Kale unfurled a holographic star chart, pointing to a red dwarf system on the edge of Empire control. This is Istrix 4, a minor Empire fuel depot. Unimportant on paper, but if taken, it creates a hole in their logistics corridor wide enough to drive 10 fleets through. Captain Mercer leaned forward, smirking. Then we make them bleed there. Sayre nodded. No grand assault. No flashy declarations. Just loss. Quiet and relentless. Kale tilted his head. You fight like insurgents. Sayre's eyes were cold steel. We fight like survivors. Hours later, as the fleet readied for departure, Sayre visited the Blacklight hangar. Inside rested humanity's new secret weapon. Blacklight-class stealth corvettes. Deadly, invisible ships that didn't exist on any sensor. Designed in secrecy. Born from salvaged Empire cloaking systems and human creativity, they were near silent death. Dr. Kara stood beside one of them, arms folded. They are still untested in real combat. So were we, Sayre replied. The plan was simple. Hit the Empire where it never expected resistance. Fuel lines, supply chains, communications arrays. Avoid major fleet engagements. Let them bleed slowly. Let them grow paranoid. The first operation launched 4 days later. 5 Blacklight ships, call-signed Echo Wing, infiltrated Istrix 4's orbital array. In under 2 minutes, they disabled the station's shielding, corrupted its fuel compressors, and detonated its core. No trace of human presence was left behind. Only smoking wreckage and panicked Empire analysts chasing ghosts. It was the first of many. Over the next 2 weeks, more depots fell. Civilian transports were liberated. Human captives were rescued. Rebellion sparked in previously compliant systems. A voice began to echo through the Empire's comms. Hacked frequencies, graffiti on city walls, encoded in songs children sang on occupied worlds. 10 million souls are watching. The Empire responded with brutality, random raids, mass arrests of suspected human sympathizers, broadcasting executions of alien traitors. But the harder they struck, the more cracks formed in their rule. On the dark world of Corix Prime, alien Laborius overthrew their taskmasters with stolen human rifles. On Noelius 6, a band of hybrid children born from human refugees led the uprising. Species who had long feared the Empire now saw a choice: die cowering or rise with humanity. Sayre watched the reports come in with quiet satisfaction. This is how empires die, she murmured. Not with a bang, with 1,000 cuts, and the whisper of names they thought were gone. In the final moments of the chapter, a new message plays across the stars. A human voice. Calm. Familiar. To the Empire. Your broadcast killed our bodies. But now the galaxy has heard ours. We have begun the reckoning. This is humanity, and we are not finished. Firestorms across the stars. Justice has no flag. but they'll know who lit the fire. The war changed in the 4th month. Gone were the surgical strikes and careful whispers. Humanity had become something else. No longer a ghost in the dark, but a roaring storm that set star systems ablaze with rebellion. They weren't just fighting back. They were leading an uprising. Commander Sarah Voss stared out from the bridge of the Valkyrie as the burning wreckage of the Empire's Crucible-class command carrier drifted past the observation port. The battle for the Viridin Drift was over, an entire Imperial armada shattered. But it had come at a cost. The comm buzzed. Casualty report coming in now. Commander, said her tactical officer grimly. We lost 3 dreadnoughts, 17 strike ships, over 4,000 dead. Saya didn't blink. She had no tears left for numbers. She turned to her command crew. Mark every name. They don't vanish. Not like ours did. In the weeks that followed, humanity's resistance evolved into a movement. More than military, a message. They weren't just fighting for Earth anymore. They were fighting for everyone the Empire had silenced. Across the stars, the insectoid Tyrell burned their conscription camps and joined human battle groups in guerrilla attacks. The aquatic Genari sank Empire patrol submarines and opened their oceans as safe havens for refugees. The tech-cast Vesh shared ancient encryption algorithms, allowing human fleets to disappear from Empire scanners. No treaties, no speeches, just solidarity. Each rebellion carried the same mark, a black sun painted over an Empire crest, and below it, human words scrawled in dozens of hands. For the 10 million. One night, Sarah stood alone in her quarters, reading her brother's final letter. Lieutenant Elias Voss had led the suicide strike that disabled the communications array over Telka Station, a move that allowed 500,000 civilians to escape before orbital bombardment. His letter was short. No poetry, just one line. If I die, make sure they don't forget why we fought. Saya folded the letter, tucking it into the inside of her armor plate. Her grief had long since hardened into action, but her brother's words gave it shape. Meanwhile, in the marble chambers of the Empire's High Council, panic was mounting. They were fractured, primitive, extinct, even, hissed Archon Velex, slamming his scaled fist onto the table. How are they coordinating strikes on 13 systems simultaneously? No one answered. The Empire's predictive algorithms had failed. Their generals were outmaneuvered. Their propaganda backfired. Millions of alien citizens were demanding to know why humans were the only ones fighting for the oppressed. One counselor, younger than the rest, finally spoke. Because we gave them nothing left to lose. Silence. The council knew what the galaxy suspected. The genocide broadcast, once thought a show of dominance, had become the seed of their undoing. On the front lines, Earth's forces moved with increasing boldness. The Valkyrie now led a mobile fleet known as the Ash Circle, named after the shape left in orbit where the 10 million had died. Their goal, liberation, then demolition. If a planet's people resisted the Empire, the fleet would arrive with weapons, medics, food, and firepower. But for every world they saved, one burned. During a raid on the Empire's genetics facility on the moon S5, human scouts uncovered evidence of forced hybrid experimentation. Humans dissected, spliced, grown into weapons. Children among them. When Sarah saw the images, she gave no speech. She simply sent one order: glass the facility. No survivors. That act sparked another wave of rebellion. This time, even some low-tier Empire officers surrendered willingly, unable to justify what they'd been ordered to do. Later, aboard the refugee ship Promise of Dawn, an alien child asked Sarah, "Are you here to save us?" She knelt beside him, offering a ration bar and a gentle smile. "I'm here to make sure no one else watches their family die on a screen." That night, a human message broke across every secure Empire channel. It wasn't encrypted. It wasn't hidden. It was a broadcast, just like theirs had been. Sarah Voss stood in her commander's uniform, not polished, but blooded and scarred. "You killed 10 million of ours. You expected silence. You expected Faye. Instead, you gave us purpose. We are the spark that won't go out." We are the whisper you can't silence. We are the children of Earth, and we're not finished. The feed cut, and across the stars, another depot exploded. Vengeance broadcast. This time, we hold the camera. The core broadcast nexus hung in space like a crown of bones, 12,000 kilometers in diameter, gleaming with Empire elegance, pulsing with control over every major galactic signal. It was where the genocide of 10 million had been streamed across the stars. Now, it was humanity's final target. Commander Sarah Voss stood in the Valkyrie's war room, facing her captains, rebel allies, and AI strategists. The entire resistance fleet had converged for this mission, Operation Black Signal. This is not just a strike, she said. This is the message. No one needed further explanation. They all remembered. The battle erupted without warning. Thousands of human and rebel ships emerged from slipspace around the Nexus, their sudden appearance cracking open the void like thunder. Empire defenses scrambled, but they were overwhelmed before they even formed a line. The Valkyrie led the charge, spearing through the first line of defense with her rail cannons firing molten plasma. Blacklight corvettes zipped through enemy formations, disabling command nodes before vanishing into stealth. In orbit, Admiral Reyes barked commands, coordinating the rebel fleets, Janari shock cruisers, Vesh drone carriers, and rogue Kale warships, all moving with human precision. But the real strike wasn't in space. It was inside the station. Sarah, clad in her battle armor, led an elite breach squad through the Nexus's underbelly. Explosives cleared sealed blast doors. Gunfire lit dim corridors. They moved fast, brutal, and efficient. Sarah's focus was razor-sharp. Every step forward brought them closer to the same broadcast control room the Empire had used to murder 10 million. And now, they were going to take it back. They reached the chamber, clean, clinical, unchanged. Massive projectors still hung from the ceiling. A hollow Empire crest shimmered on standby. The tech specialist plugged in a secure human uplink. Signals clean. You're live on every Empire-controlled channel in the galaxy. Sarah stepped forward, facing the same camera the Archon had used during the genocide. But she didn't speak like him. She didn't raise her voice. She looked directly into the lens, face scarred, armor burned, eyes full of the weight of a species. This is Commander Sarah Voss. Human. Survivor. Witness. I am speaking not just for Earth, but for the dead who cannot. She held up a holodisc, and the broadcast began to stream. Not a speech. The truth. First, the original execution broadcast. Unedited. Brutal. The mass killing of the 10 million, shown as it was. Then, scenes from the war. Slaughtered colonies. Hybrid torture labs. Burning refugee ships. Children in cages. Then came the shift. Liberated planets. Alien rebels standing beside human soldiers. Cries of "for the 10 million" shouted across systems. Sarah's voice came last. You tried to erase us. You made death a spectacle. So now, we return the favor. Your crimes are no longer secrets. To those who still serve the Empire, run, or fall with it. To the survivors, we remember. She stepped back. End the signal, she ordered quietly. As her team planted charges on the station's core, Empire reinforcements arrived. Too late. The Resistance fleet began withdrawal maneuvers. One by one, ships jumped away, victorious. But the Nexus remained behind, and the Valkyrie lingered just long enough to record what happened next. The core broadcast Nexus, seat of Empire propaganda, burst into a supernova of plasma and broken circuitry, broadcasting its own death across the galaxy. A final message, spoken in hundreds of languages, burned into the void. You killed 10 million. We brought 10 billion witnesses. Epilogue. The Empire collapsed in weeks. Entire sectors rebelled. High Council members vanished or were tried for war crimes by newly liberated species. Trial footage was public. The Empire's own allies turned on it, hoping to salvage their reputations. A new alliance formed, not out of politics, but pain. At its heart, humanity. Earth rebuilt, not in isolation, but as a rallying world. The Black Sun Accord was born, every world that bore witness, united in a vow that genocide would never be used as governance again. Commander Sarah Voss declined all titles. She returned to orbit over Jupiter Station, where a new monument now stood. A ring of names, 10 million strong, never forgotten. Because humanity was never meant to die quietly. It was meant to teach the stars how to scream.